Welcome again to another edition of our introduction into the new Nigeria, a country, as we've been saying, a country that has more than 170 million people. The number one economy, it seems like, as somebody would describe it, a nation bouncing back from ill, and is a new dimension, a new dispensation, a new government in the making. 29 May 2015, definitely a new president will be installed, integrated in Nigeria. Already there's quite a lot of international organizations, government, nations who are saying they will be attending or sending a rep to Nigeria to participate in this historic, you have to say it is a historic event, because since 1999, this is the first time an opposition party would defeat the incumbent party. But again, it's just the fourth time really, or the fifth time that somebody has tried. Nevertheless, we have never really had any party that has been there from 1999 till to date challenging the same party, which is the PDP, that has never really changed their focus as the party that remained the same with the title name PDP. But of course, the opposition have to find a strong way, a strong platform to begin to fight back, and that's what created the emergence of the APC and a presidential candidate in the form of General Muhammadu Buhari, who is now indeed the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. In the studio with me this afternoon to discuss the issue of Nigeria. The issue of Nigeria is Professor Stanley Okoli, who is a medical professional here in the United Kingdom with diverse interests, not just in the UK, but in Europe and, of course, in Africa, going home as much as possible to Nigeria. You're welcome to the studio.
Thank you so much, Alistair. We were here a week ago.
Yes.
And as I said then, watching Jega, that was a confident man who was absolutely in charge. And I think I'm very proud to be a Nigerian. That democracy triumphed.
Democracy triumphed. Apart from that, actually, quite a lot of Nigerians have been really singing the praises of that. They are indeed grateful, exciting for them to be called and to be known as Nigerians. So it's good as well for you to have that endorsement to say it is right. Looking at it now, of course, is a season of final roundup in the Nigerian election. Part one has been concluded, which is the biggest one, really. And very soon, by the weekend, again, they will go to the poll to elect governors across more than 20 states in the country. How will you describe local grassroots politics?
I think from my limited experience of going home and watching how things work in Nigeria, I think actually the government at the state level and the local government are more in tune and are closer to the grassroots than the national government. Although, of course, we know that because of the way the federation account is divvied up, a lot of the large slice of our national cake is at the center in Abuja. But if you actually look at the day-to-day activities of government that affect the common man, then a lot of it is what happens in the state. And so those states where there is an enabling environment, both for business and for people to thrive and for dividends, what they call dividends of democracy, you find that the common man is very happy. And therefore, I do not necessarily see or foresee that the things that happened nationally are going to be exactly the same locally, because locally it will be mainly what affects the people, as opposed to the fact that nationally, of course, there was a lot of, as we have seen with the election, a lot of clamor for change.
But don't you think that with the clamor of change now, really in Nigeria, the momentum has swung in the sense that everybody now would like to be in the government rather than out of the government, which meant at the state level, even probably the PDP state might end up going into APC's hand?
Well, I mean, there are people who say that, and obviously that is a point of view. I think there is equally another point of view, which is that Nigerians are politically mature. And as a politically mature electorate, they don't necessarily follow the bandwagon, but they follow what actually affects. And the fact that Nigerians have tasted changing government through the ballot box means that actually in those states where there is good governance, irrespective of the party that has won the national election, you will find that a lot of the people in those states will retain those governments because they have tasted the good fruits of government. However, because they have tasted also how to change government through the ballot box, in those states where the government has not necessarily been good to the people, you will find that there will be a change. So I'm not quite sure.
You're not quite sure, but let me take you as well. Historically, or this time around, Benue State, the former governor or the existing governor, Soswan, did not win the election to go to the Senate. The same thing as well in Niger State. Chief Saban of Niger State, the governor, was defeated at the poll. So is that really that the grassroots are mature, or are they still swinging? Because that is a reflection that at the senatorial level, you cannot even, for these two powerful horsepowers, in Niger State governor and Benue State governor, they both lost.
As somebody who watches political things and the political history, remember I'm not a politician,
yes,
I'm a political scientist, I'm just a student of history.
Yeah.
I think there is no one explanation for the 36 states. That's the first thing we have to say. And therefore, there might be different influences playing in different areas. So, for example, you mentioned Niger State, but you do know that in Niger State, the deputy governor was in a different party.
Yes, he became.
So, okay, so you have to be aware of that. You also mentioned Benue
State.
You also do know that in Benue State, there were issues with, is it Akume Ondume? Who,
yeah, Akume was there, then Jemadi.
Exactly, the
sitting
senator
the yes.
and the governor. So, frankly, what happened at the national level, there may be different ways in which these play out at the local level and the state level. I don't think we have seen any swing, as you say, because it's only one election that has happened. It was only the national. So when we get to the local, which is the state elections, I would see some states changing parties. I think we can easily say that. But I don't think you can predict what will happen on the basis that because Buhari per se won the national election, then APC is going to win. No, I don't think you will predict that. The second thing that you also got to bear in mind is typically what happened in Borno State, for example, many years ago, even in the last election, not this current election, the last election. Buhari, I understand, won Borno State, but they didn't win the state.
No, they went.
They went APC. But the fact is that you find that in a lot of areas, in the north, Buhari was popular, but not necessarily that it wasn't APC then, it was ANPP or something.
CPC as well. Yes.
They did not win the states. So let's just watch and see.
Okay. Now, we are, based on investigation and all the calls that we've been receiving, people have been saying that Buhari really need to concentrate and pick good candidates that are qualified rather than just on the political radar, which may find the experienced Nigerians who can definitely add value, who anybody can look at their quota and say, all right, these people really are professionals and they should be able to be given opportunity. And of course, Buhari, likewise, said he would like to have a government that is inclusive, not necessarily basically that you must be probably a card-carrying member, but if you qualify, he's inviting Nigerians. What do you think?
I think that is the main way to articulate and not only that, execute programs that he wants to execute. You do lose a lot the moment you have to pander to political patronage, because automatically what you've done is you've excluded people who are not card-carrying members of your own party, you've excluded people from the other party, you've excluded a lot of technocrats and a lot of brains that are people that are required to help build the country. A nation is built on ideas and people. It's not necessarily built on ideology as such, but it's built on ideas and people. And what you find is that those countries that do very well are the countries that make sure that they do two or three things. One is they tap the best of the talents they have in the country in whatever areas. Two is they nurture the youth. And the third is they never forget. They retain a memory. They have an organizational memory. Because if a country has 2 steps forward, 1 step backwards, actually it doesn't work. And that's why, although you have change in terms of policy, direction, and all that, government should in itself be a continuum. because that's the way you find that the foreign investors will keep coming in, because people then know that they're in for 5, 10, 15 years,
Yes.
as opposed to being in for 4 years. And that really means that, and I think he has already said that. I mean, I watched his interview with BBC, and I also watched General Buhari's interview with CNN. I think he's already saying that. He's already talked about how he feels that his 3 main programs are to do with insecurity, with employment, and with corruption.
That's correct.
And he says he has given Nigerians his word, and that his word is his bond, that we should watch him. So it will start, of course, with the appointments.
Yes. With the appointment, of course, the president as well, lately, that's the incumbent president, Goodluck Jonathan, says that he's been caged for the last 16 years, and he's more than happy now to have the freedom of moving about. And do you really think he was caged, or that's just the normal situation that if you're in government, you just concentrate and you have people who will take over your life because you're no more the ordinary person? And of course, he's been in government since 1999, from the deputy governor, acting vice president, acting president, substitution president, and of course winning election as a president.
I've never been in that position, so I can never say. But you know, Alistair, as well as I do, that even when we have people who are friends who have been in that position, you find that your friends actually escape from the place in order to talk to you from time to time.
That's true.
So,
yes.
I mean, we know that sometimes even gaining access to your friends is tough. And they want to see you, but they don't even know that you are trying to reach them. So they are the ones who sometimes escape to try and reach you. And you say, oh, but I haven't. I said, oh, no, I didn't know. Because it depends on the people. Yes, I accept that, there has to be security. And that's why, simple example, what happened with Obama when he became president the first time? He refused to give up his BlackBerry, didn't he? I don't know what he's using today, but he refused to give up his BlackBerry. So I think you can easily sympathize with what the president is saying. And to be frank, the president, Goodluck Jonathan, has done a lot. He has done a lot of things. Obviously, the party is the one that Nigerians had a lot of difficulties with. And we can't say that the past 16 years have been all bad. No, it hasn't. I mean, there have been improvement, the economy, some of the transformation program. Obasanjo did a lot and all that. So I think what you will find is that the beauty of democracy and the passion and joy I have as a Nigerian is the fact that it matures and you move from place to another place. And also find that when the music is loudest is when people should be leaving the stage, and therefore if they don't do that, of course, the events take over. But actually, I think we're on the threshold of even another quantum increase in our development. But we'll watch and see what happens, obviously.
Actually, I wanted to take the line that you mentioned, that people should really know when to leave, for example, especially when the ovation is loud. Now, with Obasanjo, somehow, there was an issue that he didn't want to leave. Nevertheless, he left. The same thing, really, we have to say it because it's historical. Goodluck Jonathan, to many, shouldn't have contested this election, because if you want to look at it from faith background or from other angle to say, well, actually, yes, indeed, this guy has done brilliantly well. The Lord has been with him. He has all achieved what the tag should have been. Good luck all the way. Shouldn't have contested again. Should have allowed them to do whatever they want to do. He would have gone out as a bigger personality than he is conceding defeat now. We have to look at it because it's historic as well. Do you think Buhari, who is coming in now, will have put the platform, the structure together, and then hopefully in 4 years' time decided to say, right, let's throw this ball back to everybody. I have been running to do this thing for a long time, and I have achieved it. Now let me be a real African leader and allow the younger rather than going in. Because the truth is, people already are now talking about 2013, 2023, especially people from the Southeast. We're already having that information coming to us that to them, it's going to be our turn 2023. So which may really the issue has already started. What next?
You know, if you take a blank piece of paper and give to children, and on one side you ask them to write what they want to be, and on the other side you write who is their hero. How you know a society that has heroes is if you find that the side where who is their hero is filled up. How you know a society that is just thriving is if you find that that side is blank. Because a lot of kids know what they want to be when they grow up, but don't know who is their hero. For a lot of us in this age, our hero is Madiba.
Nelson Mandela.
Nelson Mandela was a guy who was prepared to go to prison, prepared to die for the freedom of his people, for his beliefs. And he went to prison, and when the ultimate prize, the victory, came, he did only one term, 4 years. He stabilized his country, and he left the stage. He remained behind the scenes, giving advice if they come to him, but letting the children grow.
Very well, letting the children grow. Actually, we need to come back to that because Buhari likewise went away for almost 3 decades, which is what Nelson Mandela did for 27 years. So let's take the caller. Hello, your name and where you calling from?
Hello, good afternoon. My name is John.
Okay, John, you're welcome. Yes.
The question I want to ask is this, regarding the Igbo saying 2000 and something is their song. I just want them to sit down very carefully and look at this scenario that is going on in Nigeria now. Are they even involved? Collectively, are they involved? For them to now be talking of 2033.
Okay.
Because if they are not involved collectively, I don't think that plan will work. Except if they are involved collectively, that will work.
Okay.
Because for them not to allow any APC senator to come up from the East at all, who can even fight for Senate president, it's something shameful to them, you know.
Let me ask you, John, before you go, do you think that they did not actually, do you think there was an election there then, taking it, taking it really longer than normal?
Come again with the question.
Yes, I'm saying, do you think in the Southeast, for example, because you're saying there's no single senator elected from that zone, do you think they totally, under APC, do you think they really meant it like that they would not vote for any APC candidate?
No, they didn't mean it that way. For one thing is that all their elites, all their political graduates in that area, they should think very deeply before they now change all the results for Jonathan. If you want the election in Nigeria here, the only region that voted, to me, the way I see the election, is Southwest. All these many zones, I don't think they voted very well. They did not vote. To me, they just rigged everything. And it's now affecting some of them now when they find out that, no, this should not be like this.
Okay.
So they should sit down very well and look at Nigerian politics and ask themselves, the Igbo, they should ask themselves, are we really involved?
Very well. Thank you very much. Thank you, John.
Thank you.
We're not trying to put you on the spot, Prof, because your own line is just medicine all the way, health. But will you agree with what John is saying?
I think a political commentator who used to be the president of the Nigerian Bar Association, Abokoba, he wrote recently, I think 2 or 3 days ago, on this. And what he was saying was that the Northeast and the Southeast, and I think he also mentioned the Northwest and the South-South, that it was almost as if there was homogeneous voting in those areas in terms of one side having PDP and the other side having APC. I don't think there was any PDP candidates from the Northeast or that won any elections from them. So now, democracy is a journey. And I see that what is happening at the moment is that a lot of Nigeria's inclinations and Nigerians' inclinations is still around where do you come from. And like the caller John just said, he's already talked about Igbos, and some people will talk about Yoruba, some people will talk about Hausas. I think that's when we know that we have finally arrived, is when we move away from that. It's when we get to the situation where it is what you can do that means that you will get to the top, as opposed to zoning. Because zoning is good in terms of as we are developing.